There's one red flag you must deal with when you hunt deer with a rifle and want to harvest wild food or put a trophy on your wall. Maybe you're on top of things already, but this book on avalanche safety suggests you might eventually ignore the warning signs. In this video, I'll share the keyword that will serve you as the red flag. And by the way, you can draw parallels to Monopoly, the board game. You'll learn how if you keep watching. Plus, I'll share a time when I hunted in South Africa where I paid the price for ignoring that red flag. Welcome to the Red Kettle channel. This is where you get a view under the bonnet. I'll share updates on product development and tips and tricks for efficient hunting. Today you'll learn about the number one warning sign you must react to when you hunt deer with a rifle. And you'll hear what you can learn from this book on avalanche safety. First, let's look at 3 scenarios to identify the keyword, the red flag. See if you can guess it before I give you the answer. You're new to hunting and learning most likely feels like drinking from a fire hose, but you want to learn fast so you can look squared away in camp in front of your hunting buddies. Maybe you're an experienced hunter preparing for a hunt to a new destination. Don't you just love that feeling when you get to look forward to a new adventure? But if you're like me, you probably also hate looking clueless, especially if it's in front of a professional hunter or a guide. Major setback, but here's the deal. It's easy to make basic mistakes when your mind is racing to process a new situation. I'll get back to that later. Perhaps you're just obsessed with detail like me and like to buy the best equipment possible to optimize the way you hunt. Ironically, optimizing your gear can also set you up for failure if you don't do it right. Talk about a double-edged sword. So what's the common denominator here? Did you guess the warning sign you must react to when hunting deer with a rifle? If you ever played Monopoly, you probably tried to draw the go back to start card. When you do that, you don't get to claim your money and you have to start a new round afresh. And right there is the keyword for you, new. If you're new to hunting, it's obvious that you need to learn and get better. The challenge is to figure out a way forward, which I'll get back to in a moment. And by the way, as you learn, make sure you retain a beginner's mind. The issue is a little more sneaky if you're experienced. One thing surprised me when I read this book about avalanche safety. It contains an important lesson that applies to hunting, but we've got to look for solutions elsewhere, which is neuroscience and Elon Musk. Well, more on that in a moment. Book first. There's an interesting graph on confidence versus risk in the book. As soon as you pass the initial ignorance is bliss point and understand the dangers, well then the probability of an accident drops significantly. As you become more experienced, the probability of accident increases because you become overconfident. It's the same with hunting. We can never rest on our laurels, and anything new requires hard work to get back on track. I once shot over an impala in South Africa at 80 yards. Seriously, I missed it completely at a distance where I should have been able to hit it with my eyes closed. And that was as an experienced hunter. Reason? I'd introduced too many new factors and failed to deal with them, including a new environment, a pair of shooting sticks that weren't my own, and a rifle in 416 Rigby that punished suboptimal shooting positions. My fault. I'm not making any excuses. I just want you to understand that making mistakes is easier than you might think, regardless of your level of experience, unless you put in the work. Now you know the red flag and what to look out for, but you also need to be able to deal with the challenge. And I've got 2 things to help you. Enter neuroscience and Elon Musk. It turns out that your mind can only hold 4 new concepts at once, and that's why hunting can be so tricky when you're first starting out. It's an organic endeavor and you need to process what's happening in the field. You've got to turn everything new into routine. As a new hunter, you're probably not using all your gear on autopilot, which takes focus away from hunting. Or it means you're not reacting as fast and efficiently as you could. If you're an experienced hunter, you're not home free. Remember the avalanche graph. Maybe you planned a hunt to an unknown destination, or you bought a new piece of gear. That will also reduce your bandwidth to process what's going on in the field. You'll make fundamental mistakes in preparation and execution like I did, unless you do something about it. Practice. But all practice isn't made equal. Elon Musk is not wealthy without reason. He's a super learner among other things, and it turns out he's got something for you, even if you don't want to drive a Tesla. He talks about learning as a semantic tree. Before adding branches and leaves, you've got to be clear on the roots and the trunk. That's critical and obvious when you're first starting out. If you're an experienced hunter, there's also a key lesson for you. Well, 2 lessons. A, make sure you're clear on how much change you're introducing. Is it just a leaf, like an auxiliary piece of gear? Or is it a branch, the trunk, or the roots you're tinkering with, like a hunt to an entirely new destination? B. Have a plan and structure to get your skills back to autopilot and ensure that you can operate efficiently in that new environment. So far so good, but there's still dangers lurking ahead. Remember, new equals red flag. Be methodical, put in the work to get off to a great start. Or back on track if you're a seasoned hand. New to hunting, new gear, new destination, same thing. Well, here's the problem. That's easier said than done. Good understanding of the warning flag and a high-level solution, but you really need more detail to execute. And there are 3 critical pitfalls you should consider if you want to execute well. Watch the video on the top left if you want to avoid those pitfalls. If you want to set yourself up for success when hunting, just click if the video is ready. If it's not, you gotta wait. Instead, you get hunting inspiration from fairly unusual sources. Check out the playlist, What Can Hunters Learn From? There are words of wisdom from everything from Special Forces operators to Bruce Lee, well, even from Jedi Knights. Have your pick. See you in the next video.